It is time for another exhibit speed build for Jurassic World Evolution 2, because the combination of the free update and the Camp Cretaceous DLC has really inspired me, and I want to share that with you. This is actually a 2-for-1, it's 2 exhibits, one for the Parasaurolophus Lux, and one for another dinosaur from the brand new pack that I will reveal shortly. Hello everyone, welcome, thank you for checking out this video. I hope that it's going to give you ideas for your own park builds, and if it does, please consider subscribing. There is a lot more where this came from. In case you haven't noticed, with all of the videos getting uploaded to the channel, this update has really fired me up. I think that it has totally revolutionized, evolved, if you will, the game that we all know and we all love, and it has just gotten so much better with all of the decorations that have been introduced. Now, as I said, this is a 2-for-1 exhibit, and you can see that there's a little court in the middle, and we have a large exhibit on the left side and a smaller exhibit on the right. The big exhibit is going to be for the Parasaurolophus Lux, and on the other side of it, I decided to put in the Monolophosaurus because I am so excited about that dinosaur. It's one of only 2 new additions to the game, really only 2 new additions. It has such beautiful skins that I just wanted to include it. I could not wait to include it. So we're gonna get to that a little later. We're first going to be building the Parasaurolophus exhibit and the courtyard in between with all of the guest amenities and stuff like that. So what I'm doing right now for the guest section is I'm adding like these little wire fence windows, I suppose, so guests could theoretically look into the exhibit from the pathing. Of course, it doesn't quite work that way in the game yet. Maybe in a future update, Frontier. Huh? But of course, the main way to experience the Parasaurolophus and the Monolophosaurus is through this tour that I'm laying down. So the Parasaurolophus exhibit is dropped down a little bit. The tour has like this view of it at first from up above, then it goes down, and then it crosses over the guest section into the Monolophosaurus exhibit before reconnecting to the tour building. Now, I made a huge mistake while building this exhibit, and if you're familiar with Jurassic World Evolution 2, then you probably already caught it from how I described this tour. First though, before I reveal my big oopsie, I'm placing down an aviary over here as sort of the backdrop of the Parasaurolophus exhibit. I used I think this is the Jurassic Park aviary, and I had initially planned to take the tour through the aviary as well, so it actually would have been a 3-for-1. But much to my chagrin, I could not get the tour track to go through the aviary. Is anybody else having this difficulty? I know it's possible, but yeah, I could not get the tour through there. So instead of a 3-for-1, it's a 2-for-1, but I hope that still deserves a like from you. I went a little bit above and beyond, so yeah, I hope that you'll like the video as you watch. Now I'm working on, one of my favorite things, path, and yes, that is quite pathetic when you consider that we have actual dinosaurs in this game. I just like fiddling with the path. So there's like these 2 circular things in the courtyard. Those have a purpose, which will be revealed later on. Right now, I'm just sort of figuring out how to put the buildings in there. I didn't want to go completely symmetrical with the design, so you can see here that the building placement is a little bit different on either side, just to make it, I guess, a little bit more dynamic. I will admit, quite a small amount of thought went into that, but here you see how the guests actually get into the courtyard, and it is by crossing over the tour tracks, one of the features from Jurassic World Evolution 2 that we didn't have in the first game, and I really like how that worked out with 2 larger amenities in the middle there. Now, as a builder, my style is a little bit all over the place. Like, for example, I went back into the exhibit for some terrain paints and then went straight back to the guest section. And here you can see the purpose of those path circles. They are just to enhance the fountains that I placed there. I also placed the larger fountain in the front. A lot of this is going to be focused on, using the new decorative pieces that we got in the update. So here I'm using the trees in the planters and sort of lining the entryway towards the tour. Again, using a little bit of path flair, as I like to call it, to enhance the decorative pieces that we're going to be using there. And I think that works out quite nice to give it a little bit more oomph, you might say. The placeable trees are an absolute godsend to really fill in those empty spaces. The hitbox on all of this stuff is really, really good to make a beautiful, tight guest section. Of course, I said it during my introduction, my showcase video for the free update. The Spinosaurus skeleton will be added to every single park build that I do in the future. And well, there it was. I placed it again. Again, just really using a lot of decorations to give a lot of detail to this guest section. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, I clicked on this video for an exhibit build. Why am I looking at planters being placed next to a shop? Well, that's sort of my idea behind these exhibit builds, is to also show you the surrounding guest section, because for a park that is a very important element, and I want to give you inspiration for that as well. So you really, I'm not just showing you a contained exhibit, but like a piece of the puzzle that you can put into your own parks. So, you know, you could copy this design directly, and like a game of Tetris, or like I said, like a puzzle, you can piece all of these exhibit builds that I have been doing together in your own parks to create like this grand whole of a park. I do hope that whatever system you're playing this on can handle all of the decorations. If you've seen my park tour for my All Lagoon Park, my Arizona Oasis, then you'll know that even my PC, which is a pretty dang decent PC, struggled with all of the decorations in that park, and with the new additions that we have, the new variety, it's only gonna get worse from here. But, you know, we'll have fun even as the frame rates drop. I really love these torches. I'm lining like this section in between the two parts of the exhibit. I think that gives it a really great effect. Stay tuned, of course, to the end of the video, where I do a showcase of what everything looks like, you know, with proper camera angles. Now, as I said, I'm all over the place, and now I'm back to the exhibit, doing trees and rocks and stuff like that, just filling out the exhibit down here. I really like using the big lake in this exhibit, because when the Parasaurolophus Lux walks through it, you also get the reflection of their glowing beauty, and I really, really enjoyed that. Now here's just a little rocky moment where the tours snake through, so it's a combination of a lot of rocks and some of the new individually placeable trees. And what works out really nicely is that the lights on the tour track, they illuminate the trees and the rocks, and that turned out quite nice. You know, at a certain point you see me get closer to the lights, like right over there with the trees, and that really nicely illuminates them. So I think that this is a really nice section of the tour. And it was really interesting and different to build an exhibit with like the outset of knowing that it was going to be nighttime. You think about different stuff, you know, you think about the lights and things like that, things that you don't normally consider while you're building an exhibit, because I don't know about you, but I hardly ever turn my sandbox parks to the day-night cycle, let alone to permanent nighttime. Now we've crossed over to the other section, to the dark side. We've crossed over to the Monolophosaurus exhibit, and what I'm building now is sort of like a rock wall, I suppose. I'm really trying to get them as close as possible, filling in as much of the gaps as I can. The hitbox is fairly decent, but not perfect, of course. We can't overlap them, but I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Then I'm adding some trees as well, because what is going to be like the finishing touch, here we go, are the torches, and they have a really nice illumination, and I think that this creates a super awesome effect. It's awesome for the tours to drive by, but this is also the point of the exhibit that the guests see when they stand in the guest section that we built previously. You know, I mentioned that I made a window, quote unquote, with the wire fencing. So when guests stand over there and they look through the wire fencing, you know, theoretically, if they could, then that would be what they see of the exhibit, you know, the torches, the rocks, the beautiful trees in the backdrop. And I think that that's a very nice way of experiencing the exhibit. And the rest of it, again, is just focused on the tour. And I also added some viewing galleries in the back. Now this is the moment where I realized my big, huge mistake. And I kind of panicked, and I was hoping that there was a setting in the tour building, but no, there was not. The tour was going in the opposite direction than what I had planned. So I had planned this to be the starting point of the tour, But in reality, because the tours loop around the other way, this was actually the end of the tour. So if you want to recreate this, I mean, you could recreate it the same way that I built it. The only downside is that I had envisioned that when they come through the Jurassic World doors, they have that view of the lower Parasaurolophus exhibit. You know, they have that wow moment, and you lose that with how it's turned out right now. So if you are going to build this exhibit, I definitely recommend that instead of doing it the way I do it, you should flip it. Like, you should just make it the mirror opposite of what I did. That way the tours go the right way. They have that wow moment where they drive along the edge, they look down at the lake, at the Parasaurolophus, they have the aviary in the background. That is what this tour was intended to be like, and let's just pretend that I'm not an absolute idiot and that I didn't misremember the way the tours go around the track, and that this is actually how we start the tour. So the cars come through like this row of fountains, they come through the gate, and then they have that view of the exhibit of the beautiful Parasaurolophus walking around in the lake. Absolutely gorgeous, spared no expense. And the tour just, you know, it loops around the lake, it even goes through the aviary. I really don't know why that didn't work. It was all part of the grand master plan. It didn't work out. I don't know why. After experiencing the glowing awesomeness that is the Parasaurolophus Lux, they go through the gates, they cross over the guest section, they head into the Monolophosaurus exhibit where, you know, there's torch galore, which sort of gives this second exhibit, this second part of the tour, a different atmosphere from the first. So the first was a magical nighttime, and this second one is more spooky nighttime. You know, the Monolophosaurus, while beautiful, are also deadly. So you get sort of this, you know, 2-for-1 experience. And then they go into the void, only to emerge to buy overpriced t-shirts and plushies. Hope you enjoyed this speed build. Give the video a like if you did. And again, subscribe if you want more content like this. I want to thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, enjoy the game.